All right. In this video, we're going to be doing homework EOC review number 7. All right. I've already pre-highlighted the x-axis and the y-axis, and that's just because it gets really difficult to see on this paper. So I figured if I pre-highlighted it, it would be a little bit easier to work through. So in question 1, it says the graphs of f of x equals x plus 4. So this is a linear function. And g of x equals the absolute value of x. This is an absolute value function, are given. Okay, they've already labeled both functions for me. We have f of x, and that's going to be in our first table. And then we have our g of x, which is this absolute value function, and that's in our second table. It says fill in the table for each. So if I have f of x is equal to x plus 4, and they're giving me these x values, well, all I have to do is add 4 to each one, and I'll get my f of x, or my y values. So -3 plus 4 is 1. -2 plus 4 is 2. -1 plus 4 is 3. And 0 plus 4 is 4. If I go over to my graph and I look at these points, when I'm at -3, I'm at a positive 1. When I'm at a -2, I'm at positive 2. -1, positive 3. And at 0, I'm at 4. All right, now let's look at our g of x function. For our g of x function, we have the absolute value of x. And remember, the absolute value is always going to be a positive number because we're talking about distance from 0. The absolute value of a number is the distance from 0. And a distance always has to be positive. So the absolute value of -3 is 3. The absolute value of -2 is 2. The absolute value of -1 is 1. And the absolute value of 0 is 0. So I'm going to put these on my absolute value graph, and I'm going to do it in blue so you can see the difference. But if I'm at -3, 1, 2, 3, I'm at 3. There's my point. -2 and 2, -1 and 1, and 0 and 0. What two ways from the information above could you determine the solution for f of x equals g of x? Okay, so they want to know the point where the two lines intersect. So you can do two things. You can look at the table, and it's where your x and y values are the same. So -2 and 2, and -2 and 2. That's how I find it on a table. I can also look at the graph, and if I'm looking at the graph, it's where they intersect, where the functions intersect. Which is right here. Also at -2 and 2. So what is the solution for f of x equals g of x? -2, 2, or when x is equal to 2. X is equal to -2. Sorry. List 3 points. So now we're talking about this curvy graph here to the right. List 3 points that appear to be solutions to the function shown in the graph. All right, you can choose any 3 points on here. I'm going to choose points that are at equal coordinates. So at this point that I've drawn in red, I am at -3 and a +4. The next point that I would pick, we'll go right here at the y-intercept. That's going to be when my x is 0 and my y is 1. The third point that I'm going to pick is right down here. And that's going to be 3 and -2. So what that's telling me is these 3 points all fall on the curve. All right. Number 5. The graph of functions f of x equals 5x squared minus 10x plus 4. So again, we have 2 functions here. We have our f of x function, which is right here. And we have our g of x function, -5x plus 4, which is our linear function. So we have a quadratic and a linear. All right. Using the graph, what is the positive solution to f of x equals g of x? So f of x is equal to g of x. Well, we've already determined that the solution is where the 2 points intersect. And this point here is 2, 4. So my solution would be 2, 4, or when x is equal to 2. Okay? Sometimes you'll see it listed as an ordered pair. Sometimes it will be an x equals because they're asking you to identify the input and the output. Both would be acceptable answers. All right, final question. Number 6. The graph of a linear function is shown below. So here we have our linear function. Which of the following, select all that apply, are a solution? And a solution is when it makes that function, which we don't know what it is because we didn't write it, when the function is a true statement for both my x and my y values. All right, so all we need to do is look at these points. The first one we have is 1, -1. So I'm going to go here on my x-axis and go 1, -1. There's my point. It does not fall on my linear function, so that is not a correct answer. Then I go to 0, -3, or 0, 3. Well, at 0, 1, 2, 3, I'm at that point. That does fall on my linear function, so that is a solution. Then I'm at 3, 1, 2, 3, -3, 1, 2, 3, and that also falls on my graph, so that is a solution. Then I have -1 and -5. So -1, -5. That is not a solution. That does not fall on that linear function. Then I have -2, -5. So -2, or -2, +5. -2, I'm going to have to scroll up. And +5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That also does not fall on that linear function, so it is not a solution. All right, that's it for EOC review number 7.